What is up, everybody? Sean the D-Man here, and welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are doing great. Hope you guys are having yourselves a great week. We are back with another episode of the Auburn podcast for the Auburn podcast channel. And last night, Auburn defeated Arkansas 67 to 60 in a game where I think Auburn was, before the game started or leading up to the game, Auburn was favored by at least 16.5 points. They won by 7. Um, a lot closer and a lot tougher than a lot of people would have thought, especially now. I mean, you could probably make the assumption with Auburn beating Alabama last Saturday with one of their great, their top tier great game of the season for the Tigers. You probably could have thought maybe this could be a letdown. Arkansas was a very dangerous team. They beat Kentucky. They beat Texas. They have been winning some games. Last I checked, they were in Joe Lunardi's last 4 in. Arkansas needed this game to potentially get themselves into the NCAA tournament. And man, what a game! This is again. Auburn, it felt like Auburn was not, they weren't ready to play. It definitely feels like watching the game and watching how things went. It just feels like Auburn wasn't ready to play. Arkansas wanted it more. Auburn was just able to make plays when they needed to make plays in order to get the win for the Tigers. But most definitely, if Arkansas hits a few more shots, they probably win this game. It's same thing for Auburn. The lead probably could have been a little bit bigger if Auburn made a few of their shots. There were a lot of the past couple of games, the balls have just been coming out of the rim, and it's just they haven't gone down. I think Miles Kelly shot a 3 earlier, and it literally could have went down, and it just rattles out, and it's just ridiculous. And another thing too about this game. In the second half, Auburn was already, they had maybe 4 or 5 fouls. Maybe, no, I think it was about 4 or 5 fouls. Arkansas did not commit a foul until about 6 minutes or so left in the game. Now, a lot of that is probably more on Auburn not driving to the basket and getting fouls. A lot of Auburn stuff was either 2s or step back 3s or just something along those lines, or just a common foul that would or a shooting foul that would just send them to the line, something like that. But it was just ridiculous. I thought the ESPN scorecard was bugged or something, because it didn't make any sense. I was like, there's no way Arkansas has not committed any fouls in the second half. It just made no sense whatsoever. Now, as far as everything else goes, again, like I said, Auburn was not ready to play. And then as we go to take a look, most of Arkansas's starting 4, pretty much their starting 4 were the main contributors, all of them in double digits, with one more guy potentially getting in double digits as well. Both to Auburn was Chad Baker Mazzara had a tech for, I mean, you could probably just be like, why'd you do that? Just come on, that's not smart. An Arkansas player had a tech, and it was a very physical game. I do appreciate the refs letting them play, but again, you could probably say the officiating was good. It was very even. They missed some calls with both sides, but I would say the officiating wasn't as bad as Auburn has had to deal with in previous games. But as far as Auburn goes, I mean, Janai Broom gives you 16. And really, Denver Jones gives you 9. Miles Kelly gives you 7. Chaney and Baker coming off the bench gives you 29 points, and then this was like, I don't want to say this was like an off night, but like obviously Auburn had a massive historic win against Alabama where they played probably their best basketball of the season. You could probably have thought this could be a letdown. Like none of the shots were falling. It was just a tough going for them today, and it just to me felt like they weren't ready to play. Like, is that on the players? Is that on Bruce? That's just my opinion. My thoughts and opinion about it, because they just like communication wasn't there. They were like letting guys just go up the lane and get easy buckets. I don't know what it was, but they definitely seemed like they weren't ready to play. Now they were able to pull it out because they made some pretty good defensive stops, and they did enough offensively or got enough production out of guys to make it count in this game. But other than that, it was a tough one, which a lot of people figured the way Arkansas had been playing these past, because a lot of their games were close. Like they lost to Alabama, I think by 4 points. Like I said, they beat Texas, they beat Kentucky. They've played some pretty all right basketball heading into the game, but Auburn is definitely the more superior team, the more talented team, the deepest team. But it just seemed like Arkansas definitely like had plays going for them when they needed them to. So, I mean, you could give credit to Arkansas for it, but Auburn should not have been in this position. And even Bruce mentioned that Arkansas is a sneaky good defensive team. This definitely felt like the Tennessee game, where it was like kind of low scoring, physical kind of game, and it definitely was that. But again, I still think Auburn, it should have won at least by at least 13, maybe even 14 points. They're the better team, plain and simple. But listen, they got the job done. That's all that matters. They got another SEC win. And as far as team stats goes, both teams were in the 40s from the field goal percentage. Both teams bad at shooting the three. Auburn obviously was better, more efficient at the free throw line compared to Arkansas. They got back into winning the rebounds, 13 offensive, 29 defensive. They got back because there were a couple of games, Bama, maybe Vanderbilt, maybe Florida as well, where Auburn wasn't rebounding the ball relatively well. They got in this situation, they got back to that assist, about even. Steals, Arkansas had more steals, blocks. Auburn didn't get a lot of blocks in this game. They turned the ball over. I mean, Arkansas ultimately ended up with like 2+ on the, or 2 more turnovers, but Auburn was like being very lackadaisical with the ball, like just throwing it to like areas where guys aren't. And then like toward the end of the game, Chad just throws a lazy pass to Broom. Arkansas player tips it to himself and takes the ball. And it was just stuff like that throughout the first half or the first couple of minutes of the game, where it didn't, like, what are you guys doing? It's just, I don't know. I don't know what it was. It was just the fouls were about even. So like I mentioned, obviously Arkansas fouled a little bit towards the end to try to keep the game close. But that was one of the things that I mentioned earlier, was that the officiating called a pretty even game. Now, again, there were some things that they missed on both sides for Auburn and Arkansas, but other than that, they called a fairly even game. And the lead, Auburn got to like a 9-ish lead, Arkansas 4, but I mean, it was just crazy of a game for sure. But listen, they got the win. That's all that matters. You had a tough game. I don't think a lot of people figured Arkansas to be a tough outing, especially the way Arkansas had just been look early part of conference play, maybe even some of the non-conference play. But like, we're coming down the final stretch of SEC games. You got this one down. You got 5 more to go. You have Georgia coming in on Saturday. You got Ole Miss, I think, next Tuesday. Let's see. I think it's next Tuesday. 22nd. Oh, I'm sorry. 26th. No, next Wednesday. And then it was announced that the Kentucky game was going to be about like a 12 p.m., 1 p.m. tip off. So 3 p.m. for Georgia, 6 p.m. for Ole Miss. It's nice to have an early. I hate these 8 o'clock tip off games. It's like Auburn's the number 1 team in the country. They should not be having to have like a, a 8 p.m. tip off. And it's like it's just really ridiculous in that situation. It just doesn't make any sense. But I mean, it is what it is. So you've got 5 left. You got Georgia, you got Ole Miss, back-to-back games on the road against Kentucky, in which Kentucky beat Vanderbilt last night. A&M, I think, lost. Yeah, A&M lost to Mississippi State. Because like in terms of the SEC race, that kind of helps you a little bit. And right now, at the time of me recording, Alabama's down 10 to Missouri. With about 2 minutes left in the game. So if Alabama loses, that puts Auburn, I believe, 2 games ahead of everybody else. Yeah, 2 games ahead of Alabama, 2 games ahead of Florida, and then you obviously you got Texas A&M, which you could lose to Texas A&M and still be fine. I think I would assume, but I'm kind of going back and forth and looking at the game over here, but and Missouri has come on. I'm kind of glad Auburn played Missouri early instead of playing them late, because they have been on. They've been relatively good after the start of SEC play, because it took them a while to kind of get things going. I think they had like an injury or two that kind of hampered them a little bit, but once they got fully healthy, like, this is a very dangerous Missouri team, because just right now it's a good basketball team. The SEC, as we always say, is a pretty good team. As far as like the tournament goes, when this was updated yesterday, so bracketology, we're mainly just going to look at, and Auburn's more than likely they've locked up a number 1 seed. I mean, you could probably make the case that they've locked up the number 1 overall seed. I would say they did, because like their resume is good. Now, obviously, Arkansas isn't a high quality win, but you still have those opportunities with Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Kentucky, and Alabama. But as of right now, if you get the number 1 overall seed, your first 2 games are going to be in Lexington, and then I believe the next 2 are going to be in Atlanta, both within driving distance for Auburn fans if they want to go. I think Kentucky's like a 7-8 hour drive, I believe it is. But if the tournament started tomorrow or this weekend, Auburn should be able to handle the 16 seed, depending on who it is. But then the round of 32 would be interesting, because you'd have Gonzaga or Utah State. Probably both could potentially give Auburn trouble. I haven't really watched them as much, but it's going to be interesting to see for sure. So you get that. Then you go to Atlanta for the Sweet 16. You could potentially play Maryland or Arkansas again, depending on how well, or St. John. You could potentially play Maryland, Arkansas, or St. John in the Sweet 16. And if you make it out of the Elite 8, I mean, Wisconsin, Iowa State, St. Mary's. So it's definitely would be a tough. I mean, the number one overall seed honestly should have the easiest path to the Elite Eight, but we know how the media is at times when it comes to Auburn. They have a habit of not being kind, to say the least. But yeah, got the job done. That's all that matters for Auburn. They got the job done, and it looks like right now, Missouri's probably going to hang on. They're up 8. They could potentially hold on to finish off the game. But other than that, guys, that's it from me. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Be sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Be sure you comment below, and I will see you guys on Saturday for Auburn versus Georgia. Y'all have a good one. See ya.